present perfect and present perfect continuous. These are tenses that people have a little bit of trouble with, but today I'm going to make it clear for you. Okay, present perfect is formed with the verb to have plus the past participle form of the verb. So if you think about, some grammar books have 3 columns in which you find the present tense, the past form, and then the past participle. So that's the 3rd column. So the verb to have plus the 3rd column, okay, to simplify it. Now, this tense is used to talk about activities that started in the past and continue into the present. So I have lived in Italy for nearly 16 years. This means I came to Italy 16 years ago and I'm still here today. We can also use this to talk about something that we have done in the past, and it's not important when the event happened. So I've been to Greece 3 times. I've never seen a Johnny Depp film, etc. We can also use present perfect to talk about something that has very recently finished, and we usually use just. My son has just finished a course. So this is present perfect. Then we have present perfect continuous, and generally this is used to talk about activities that were happening. So usually if it's an activity, we use the continuous form that was happening up until very recently. And often we use it to describe something that has been happening and will continue into the future. So we've been studying all morning. They've been learning Japanese for the last 6 weeks. With both of these tenses, often we use for, since, or just. So for is used to talk about the amount of time. So they have lived in that house for 6 years. And we use since to talk about when the activity started. So she has been at that school since 1995. For is for an amount of time, and since is used to talk about when the activity started. So let's look at how this is formed using the verb to learn. So a positive sentences. We've learnt everything in the first book. Negative, we haven't learnt enough this year. And questions, have you learnt everything you need to know for the test? So it's important to remember that present perfect is formed with the verb to have plus the past participle form of the verb, and have only changes for the 3rd person. So he, she, it has. Present perfect continuous is also formed with the verb to have, but then we need been and then the ing form of the verb. Has she been studying all morning? Have you been listening to music? We have been dancing since 5 o'clock. Many people confuse present perfect with past simple. So I am going to compare the two so that it becomes clear for you. Present perfect. I've lived in Italy for nearly 16 years. Past simple. I lived in Italy for nearly 16 years. In the first example, I've lived in Italy. This means that I am still here living in Italy. But in the second example, I lived in Italy. This means that I don't live in Italy anymore. I've eaten a very large breakfast every day for the last 10 years. I ate a large breakfast yesterday. Generally, with past simple, we are talking about a specific event or activity or situation, in which case there is an actual date or time. While with present perfect, the emphasis or the focus is on the fact that you have done something in the past. It doesn't really matter when. I've read all of his books, or that the activity started in the past and it continues into the present. I've eaten at that restaurant every week for the last 6 years. I hope this is now clear for you. Go and do the exercises, and remember, practice makes perfect. So it's important to study and understand how the language is formed, but in order for it to become natural and for you to become more confident with it, you do need to practice. So make that a priority this week.